Okay, good afternoon, Melbourne, good afternoon, Australia, and good day and evening to our international viewers as well, or listeners, I should say, as well. I'm Helen Taylor. Welcome to my show, Inspired Radio. I'm here with you every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Melbourne, Australia time, and Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Time for Canada and the US, for conversations and stories to inspire you. This is the BBS Radio TV platform, and we're going live to 200 plus outlets worldwide. Before we start, I just want to say thank you to our sponsors. Thank you for your support. Always. You're an essential part of this show, so if you'd like to sponsor, the link is in the show notes. Inspired Radio is all about change, getting uncomfortable and shaking up the status quo, because we're breaking free from not only limiting systems, but limiting lives and embracing our infinite potential. My guests are here to tell their story because storytelling is now creating a new world. So let me introduce today's guest, Nicole Trimboli. Today's conversation is one that might just change the way you think about success, health, and what it really means to take care of yourself. For years, she pushed through life at full speed, striving, achieving, and putting everyone else first. Is that ringing a bell for anybody? Until everything came to a halt. What followed was a powerful wake up call that reshaped not only her health, but her entire perspective on life. So, joining me today is Nicole Trimboli, here to talk about her journey, her insights, and why taking care of yourself is not a luxury, it's essential. So, welcome, Nicole.
Thank you, Helen. It's wonderful to be here and appreciate you having me on the show.
Yes, yes, it's great, isn't it? It's wonderful having you here. And let's just let everybody know the kind of serendipity that happened that connected us together.
Yes. Well,
You've got a
it
friend.
quite, I have a friend who crossed your path
Yeah.
just by chance, we'll
Mm,
say.
mm.
And it was actually a conversation that you had between yourself and her, thinking that perhaps maybe she might be a potential person to put on your radio show, when in actual fact she put me forward and said, no, I know somebody that would be fantastic for your radio show.
Yes, yes. Isn't it wonderful? I mean, to everyone listening out there, you just never know what comes out of a conversation.
That's
Yeah.
right. Thank you, Emma.
Yeah, thank you, Emma. Absolutely. So let's start with firstly, what was your wake up call?
Okay, my wake up call um, was definitely my cancer diagnosis, but not once, twice. So the first time round, I had the little tap on the shoulder, and I went through treatment, and I got back into life, and then slowly life consumed me again, and then I got the big wake up call, which was
Oh,
the
and that's
second
interesting
round.
because underneath wake up call, I wrote down were there clues, right? And that's really interesting that you said first wake up call, second wake up call. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I find the universe just taps you on the shoulder. And the second time it actually punched me in the face and said, hey, Nicole, sit up, take notice. You need to change a few things in your life.
And it does. It does. I agree with you there. I call it the tap on the shoulder, and then I call it the Mack truck. Goes
Yes,
right through your life, right? Yeah.
yes,
Were there
yes.
clues before that?
Oh, definitely clues that I was ignoring. And I
Okay.
guess too, probably my age and the generation that I was too. I am currently 52 years old.
Mhm.
So my generation was the next generation of, I guess, women who grew up, got married, and we had to do it all. Our mothers
Yes.
probably worked part-time, not full-time,
Mhm.
if they worked. And as my mother did, but she didn't go back to work until we were well into primary school.
Mhm.
Whereas I was in that generation where you had children and you put them in childcare and you went straight back to work. There was
Yeah.
no, and you ran a house, you cooked, you cleaned, you prepared everything for the kids, you did sports, you did it all,
It was,
and the husbands, it wasn't their fault, but they weren't prepared for this either.
well, we didn't let
We
them,
were that we
we
didn't
didn't
let
let them
them do
in.
it. No. because my role as a wife and a mother was to look after everybody in the house, and I took
Yes.
that very seriously.
Yes. And there was programming involved in that because I remember back, when my kids were little, seeing the Oprah Winfrey show, and she was absolutely championing the fact that we were now super women and that we
Yes.
could multitask. There was even an ad on television with, I don't even know what the ad was for. All I remember was there was a woman in a suit looking immaculate, her hair done, the suit, the attire was professional. She had a shopping bag and her own bag over her shoulder and a child on her hip on the other
Yes.
side.
Yes.
And she was, waltzing through the door with this great big smile on her face. And all I wanted to do was shoot her.
It was that image of you can do it all, you can have it all. And,
It was.
the harder and the faster you push, the
Mm.
more successful you'll be. And I guess that's the mentality I grew up with,
Yep.
was the harder I worked.
Yep.
And not only was all that going on in my life, I also was holding down a corporate job, a very stressful corporate job, and I was working full time, and
Hmm.
I gave that 200% because
Yep.
I was at the probably low to mid part of my career,
Hmm.
and I was striving to achieve at work. So
Hmm.
not only was I had all this going on at home, but I was also striving to achieve at work.
You're going
And
to
there was
have
such
everything.
pressure to be successful, yeah.
Mm.
And what success looked like. And that's
Yes.
probably the next thing to discuss is, what is successful? In our eyes back then, that image of that woman that represented success for us
Well,
in our age group.
before we ask that question of what is success, just for people listening out there as well, what were some of the clues? Because if you can just kind of, tag that and get somebody else out there thinking, what were some of the clues before you got that first wake up call?
So absolute fatigue.
Yep.
I would come home and go straight into what I used to call my second job as a mother and a wife. And I probably would fall into bed at around 10 o'clock of a night.
Mm.
And I didn't have time to sit down and watch TV like the rest of the family. I was still putting loads of washing on and cleaning up the kitchen and all of that. And I
Yep.
basically just fall into bed. But then my mind would be so active and I
Yes.
was so stressed that
Yes.
I couldn't actually sleep.
Hmm.
So then what started to happen was the glass of wine came into the equation. The one glass of wine came into the equation, then the second glass of wine came into the equation while I was cooking dinner, helped me relax. And
Hmm.
that then became a nightly thing,
Yep.
which was the self-medicating, I guess, trying to actually bring yourself back down so that you
Well, you're
could.
running on fight and flight, aren't you? So, you
Absolutely,
got cortisol
absolutely.
pumping through the body, you got your
Yeah,
nervous system on alert the whole time. So the wine started
yeah,
to
yeah.
wind it down.
And then everything annoyed me. I wanted everything to be perfect because I was trying to uphold this perfect life, and that was probably another wake up, another indicator
Mm.
that I wasn't a very nice person to be around.
Hmm.
I was angry. I wasn't happy with my life, but I didn't realize how unhappy I was with my life, I guess.
Because we
And
don't
I
stop,
just
do we? We don't stop for a second
no, to
until
even
we
think about it or put ourselves, even think about how I'm feeling about
get.
the whole thing. But I did know another indicator was each morning I'd wake up with dread, absolute dread. Here we go
Oh,
again, Groundhog Day. The alarm goes off. I'm about to do it all again. Oh, exhausted before I even begin.
yep.
Here we go. Yes, you can do it. Up you get, off you go.
So where
It
were you
was
getting the
just
energy from?
probably coffee.
Coffee?
You know, So I'd wine at night, and then I'd coffee in the morning to bring
Yeah.
myself back up again. So, and looking back, if I didn't have that wine, I probably wouldn't have needed so much coffee in the morning. So, it was just this vicious cycle that I was just stuck in.
And did you
Bad food,
yeah,
you
yeah, did
know,
you get little elements of your health though? Start like were there headaches? Were there aches and
Yes,
pains?
migraines. I started to get really bad
Mm.
my tension headaches and migraines, to the point where I was hospitalized a couple of times because I couldn't stop vomiting.
Wow.
And it was all the stress and tension in my neck and shoulders
Yep.
that it was just pent up. And actually, in my book, I talk about I didn't realize that when I was sleeping with gritted teeth and fists.
Tension.
I was that stressed,
Mm.
yeah, that my body was not even able to relax while I was asleep. I'd
Ever,
wake up,
ever
yeah,
awake or
ever.
asleep. Wow.
Yeah,
And you just
yeah.
alluded to your book, and we haven't spoken about that, but everyone who's watching can see it in the background. But those who are listening, she's written a book and it's fabulous. It's called What a Shit Show. And you'll understand why when she gets into the bowel cancer side of it. But, I have to say, when I first looked at that cover, that was confronting. That was a
Mm.
confronting cover. That was my first thought when I saw it. But as I kept looking at it, I wrote this down. Firstly, it was confronting, then it was bold, and then
Well, and empowering, hopefully.
no, and then it was brave. Then it
Thank
was
you.
brave. Absolutely. So okay. So the your health started to deteriorate and it was showing up. What do you do? I mean, this is all of us can understand this. It's like this stuff turns up and we still think it's normal, don't we?
Yeah, because
This is
it's
just
it's it
life.
actually happens slowly. So
Mm,
the deterioration in your health, it's not an overnight, all of a sudden, you just can't function because your health is deteriorated. It happens over a long period of time. I
yep,
was getting neck pain, and this was in the very first instance. I had a 6-month-old baby and a 2-year-old,
mm,
and I was getting neck pain, and I started getting these sweats at night time.
yeah,
And that was the first indicator. And you know just I didn't know why. It was summer as well, and I was thinking, oh, maybe I'm just hot.
yep,
You rationalize these
yes.
things as well so that you can keep going. That's the other thing that I realized later on.
What was it?
And
What was the sweat? What did you
so the night sweats were part of the symptoms of the Hodgkin's lymphoma
gotcha?
that I was diagnosed with.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I did go to the doctors 3 times, telling him that I was not feeling well,
Yep,
and I was tired. I was falling asleep on the couch at 4 o'clock in the afternoon,
yep,
on a weekend, which I never did. And I just was lacking energy. I wasn't, and I knew my body was not right.
yeah,
So I went back a few times, and he just put it down to the fact that I now had a toddler and a new baby, and sent me off for a massage at the physio for my neck. It wasn't until the lump appeared in my neck
right.
that things got really serious. And
So
that's when
this
I
is
was
the
diagnosed.
first warning sign.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So I
Before,
had
sorry,
probably the side. Yeah.
before we start there, let's go back to what is success?
Okay. What did I think success was back then, or what do I define success as now?
Before and after. Before and after. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So back then I thought success was showing everyone how hard you worked, and also earnings, financial,
Yep. Achievements.
how much you could
Achievements.
earn,
Mm,
achievements, yeah, goals,
yep.
having status as well in a job role, having the house, the car, the perfect family, to me that depicted, and it was all about what everyone else thought
Yeah.
and what everyone else saw.
How do I appear to the world when they look at me and my
Yes.
life? What do they see?
Yeah. Do they
It's
see that I'm
materialism and
successful? It
consumerism at its
is.
best, isn't it? And that,
Yeah.
but
And we're
you know,
fed it all the time,
yeah, everybody got caught up in that model, and there's still hundreds and thousands of millions of people caught up in that model. That
especially now with social media.
that's how you have a happy life,
Yes. Yes.
and it's not.
So success now for me
Yeah,
looks like the fact that I've had the courage to change everything in my life. And success for me is living by the beach, getting to put my feet in the sand every day, uh, being there for the people that mean the most to me,
mm,
and having financial freedom and no pressure and no stress in my life, which couldn't be more reverse to
yep.
to how I was, and also living more minimalistic, recycle.
I
I,
love.
I don't value material things the way I used to.
Mm.
There's some information on that in the book on how I've changed some of that around.
Yes.
And yeah, I really live a quite a minimal life, but a really happy life.
And there's
It's
something in that you've turned it 180 degrees inside out and upside down
yeah,
because what we're taught to live is not natural.
that's right. Yeah,
It's not a natural way. And our whole body kind of feeds back to us, doesn't it? Saying, stop doing this, stop doing this.
yes. So happiness and success, I think, go hand in hand, but they're an inside job. They come from within.
I love
It's
that.
not something
Yes.
it's not something exterior, and it's not about other people. It's about how you feel about yourself. And you can be the poorest person in the world or the richest person in the world, but you define your own success.
It is an inside job. Yep.
Mm,
But, aren't we trained to look outside
absolutely. Absolutely.
at everything?
Yes.
So we follow the model. We follow the model of the tribe and the greater world around us.
Yeah.
We do what everybody else is doing because when we look at everybody else, they all look happy. And like you said, social media, they're posting up the events and the lunches and the dinners and the surprises
Yeah.
and all that. And it looks like they're just snapshots of and they don't give you any insight whatsoever into how miserable or whatever people are.
That's exactly right. And above all, I think success is being healthy and being fit and healthy because it's the one thing money can't buy, and it's the one thing that you have complete control over.
Yep.
Yourself, that you need
Yep.
to, you have to own.
Mm. I think you're
And
part of a whole movement, right, that is happening worldwide where everyone's starting to understand. But it's funny that it doesn't happen until you're in your 40s or your 50s, where people start to look back and reevaluate life and go, I don't really like who I've become, or I don't really, enjoy what I'm doing. So they start to reset. And you said it before, it's it's a simple life. Naturally,
yes,
all we want are very simple things.
it is. They are. Yes, yes.
So, how did you start doing that? Simplifying your life.
Well, I had to strip it all back.
And what does that mean?
And,
What does
and
that
I left a lot of people and a lot of things behind me in my wake.
Yes.
And I basically recalibrated and started again and looked within. And I had to look at myself and say to myself, Nicole, if you want to be here in another 5 or 10 years,
On this planet? Yep.
there's things in your life that you can no longer do. You
Yep.
cannot keep living this way.
Mm,
And I, even up until after the second diagnosis, I still reverted back to some of those behaviors.
mm,
And it still took probably another 12 months after that to really redesign everything.
yep.
And it meant I needed to be alone and take time out away from everything, including my children. Um,
That was,
Everything that was dependent on me and everything I was dependent on. And I needed to just really, really look at what were the values that I now needed to live, and what did I need to change to make that happen.
hmm. Where did that insight come from?
Within, actually, light bulb moment. I
Mm,
think the fear of dying, if I'm completely honest,
yep.
because I had post the last cancer treatment, I also had a diabetes diagnosis, and I think that was the kicker for me because I didn't want to go on more medication, and my body had been through so much
Yep.
that I think that was the real turning point for me was that post. That's a whole nother thing that nobody talks about, is all the offshoot um, things that happen to you medically as well
Yeah. Yes.
after treatment. So
Yes.
yeah,
I hear you. I hear you. Everybody hears about the ride, but they don't hear about what the ride's really all about and what the implications are of the medications and the treatments that you're on, because they all have side effects, right?
yeah, and you never get off the ride. The ride, the ride's there. Like I'm still riding, and I will be for the rest of my life. The
Yeah.
tests, the the anxiety over the next scan, the next test, the next, you never
Oh
actually,
gosh.
it never leaves you. It's something that nobody really talks about, and it's it's something that we live with. We live in
Daily.
six
In the
monthly
back, just
blocks,
sitting in the back
basically.
of your mind. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Nobody talks about this. I mean, I
No,
even know this was just something myself when I had some surgery. It was breast reduction surgery, right? 14 years ago or something. And I remember just, doing my due diligence and all the rest of it. So that was a choice for me at the time. But coming out the other side, it's like nobody tells you what's involved.
that's
Nobody
right.
tells you how critical it is, how mind bending it is, how painful it is, what the recovery is, and what it means for the rest of your life. And that was by
Yes,
choice,
that's
right?
right.
So you
Yeah.
didn't even
Whereas we
get
don't get it. Yeah, I didn't
the
have a
chance
choice
to
in
go,
that.
hey, get ready for this, right? Prepare for this. So you get the first tap on the shoulder, right? So how many years ago was that?
So it was 15 years prior to my bowel cancer diagnosis. So
Okay.
15 years between drinks.
15.
And
What did you get
so
diagnosed of first up?
Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Hodgkin's lymphoma. Okay. So then you
Yeah.
had treatment for that. Was that chemo or radiation
Yeah, it
therapy?
was chemo. It was intense chemo. It's a young person's cancer, and
Yep.
because you're young, they're able to hit you harder with the chemo treatment.
Yep.
And let me tell you, that was 20 years ago now, and the chemo treatment was horrendous back then. It was not what it is now. So
Mm.
having gone through it again 15 years later, there was a marked difference. It was still horrible and awful,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was a lot different.
Okay. So
Yeah,
15 years later, you get hit. What was the second diagnosis?
so frighteningly, I had a little pain in the side of my stomach, and it was niggling. I didn't think much of it. Once again, I'd made some changes in my life prior, post the other cancer, but
Yep.
slowly, slowly, I got sucked back into the corporate world, chasing money again. I reverted back to,
Standard behavior.
trying to pay my house off, all that sort of thing. By this stage, I'd navigated a divorce as well and was a single mum of two teenagers, big
Gosh.
financial commitments. I'd bought a house by myself. I was working two jobs. I had a home hairdressing salon, so I was running that on the weekends, and I was working my corporate job during the week
Mm.
and burning the candle again, thinking I could do it all.
Yep.
Probably so that my children's lives didn't change too much. That was my driving
Keep the
factor.
stability and the security for the
That's
children.
exactly
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Yes, yes. And yeah, so got pulled back into that. And then on top of that, decided that I'd start a long distance relationship with someone that lived 3 hours away from me. So add the travel time every
Wow.
couple of weeks up and back.
Don't do anything
Oh,
easy.
I don't do
No.
anything easy. No, no,
No.
no.
Hmm.
Anyway, so yeah, and then I was at work one day, and this really the pain got me. And one of my work colleagues, actually, I attribute him to saving my life. He said, "Oh, it's quiet today, Nick." He said, "Why don't you just go and get that checked out? It's not normal."
Right.
And I said, "Oh, okay." Normally I'd say no, 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 and I did. I made a doctor's appointment. I got in miraculously, and I went in, and then it sort of began scans and things. And she just, even at that point, said, "Oh, I'm really not too sure what it is after a CT scan." She said, "There's a bit of a thickening of your bowel there. I'm just going to send you off for a colonoscopy."
Hmm.
And I was actually leaving to go away on holidays the next day after the colonoscopy. Bags were packed, everything was happening. And went in on the Friday for the colonoscopy. And I woke up out of the colonoscopy, and the surgeon was sitting on the bed, and he said, "Nicole, you've got bowel cancer." He said, "You're not going anywhere."
Right.
Mm.
Right. Smack between your eyes.
Smack between my eyes. Yeah,
Hmm.
3 months. And basically, straight away, they told me I was going to have a stoma put in because I was 3 days away from being completely blocked and an
Please tell
emergency
everybody
case.
who doesn't know what a stoma is.
It is basically you go to the toilet on the outside of your body, out through your stomach. They pull a piece of bowel through your stomach, and you wear a bag over the top of it to collect all the waste
But the bowel's
instead of
such an incredibly long piece of our equipment.
it is,
Couldn't
yes.
they just join a couple of pieces together?
In some cases, if the cancers are small, they can cut it out and rejoin you, and there's no need to have the stoma and the ostomy bag. But in my case, I was later to find out that I was actually riddled with polyps that could
Right.
turn cancerous. I had cancer in two places.
Okay.
And he said to me, "You've got a choice to make." He said, "I can cut both of them out and rejoin you." He said, "I'll see you in 4 or 5 years." And he said, "It probably won't be this nice." He said, "Because by the time most people arrive on his operating table," he said, "it's spread liver and lungs as well."
Okay. So get it now or come back again
Yep.
and maybe again.
So he said, basically, I'm going to remove your whole bowel. So I had a complete bowel resection. My
Okay.
whole large bowel has been removed. I live with just my small bowel and a permanent ostomy bag.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So that's what we're seeing in the picture on your book
Yes.
as well, on the outside of you looking like high heels and the whole, I just love it. I just love it. Okay. So how many years ago was that it
So that was 5 years ago,
five?
actually, in
Yeah.
March. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So your whole world gets turned upside down and inside out. And isn't it
Yes.
interesting that crisis, no matter what form it comes in, it does push you inside, doesn't it? It pushes you inside. So, the whole time you're running and doing corporate and doing a million things and, not taking time to just be quiet and relax, which is usually when we kind of can tune in, all of a
Yep.
sudden you have to.
Well, yes, to a point. And I was lying in a hospital bed and I'd just been told all of this, but your life outside of that hospital bed doesn't stop straight away.
No.
I was basically, I had to go on sick leave. I had to cancel a holiday that I had. I had a child on school camp that day that needed to be picked up that
Yep.
night.
Yep.
I was in the middle of refinancing my home. So I had the bank calling me, and I had 6 to 8 weeks worth of hairdressing clients booked in. There was a lot of work to be done from that hospital bed once that diagnosis was given. So
Yeah,
you
like you
still
say,
go
life
into damage control. It's not
life doesn't
instant. Oh,
stop.
just lay down and let's get this sorted
And
out.
this is the part that people don't understand either about this journey, right? It's like, have you got family? If you haven't got family, have you got friends? If you haven't got friends, and it becomes a defining moment to find who's there for you and who's not.
Absolutely.
Because, I watched my nephew and my sister go through this, like when he was 12 years old. And,
Yeah.
and people don't, I mean, because of their ignorance and probably fear as well, they don't know what to do. So they do nothing.
Yeah, or they don't say anything or they just don't reach out. And I think I was very fortunate to have an amazing support network around me at the time, and I have such gratefulness in my heart for that.
Yep.
However, it impacts everybody around you as well. And in some ways, they don't cope as well as you cope because it's happening to you and everything's explained to you, but they're watching you go through
Mm.
this and they
Feeling
feel
helpless.
helpless and
Yep.
they can't help. Yeah. And I describe that in my book about as the people around the people and who's caring for the people around the people.
So, what would you say to somebody out there now that is watching this happen to a loved one or a friend or something? What would you encourage them to do?
Talk about it, communicate, communication,
So, even talk
connection.
about their shortcomings and how they're afraid, or because you sort of think that the other person's going through a hell of a lot of stuff. So, you don't want to come out and go, well, actually, I'm having a hard time here. Watching.
Yes, that's exactly right. But they can verbalize that, and you'd be
Right.
surprised how resilient and how strong the person
Going
is
through
that's
it. Yeah.
going through it, and they usually can handle it
Yep.
because it's different. It's different for us than just standing on the sidelines feeling helpless. We're going through it,
Mm.
and we're also given all the information, and sometimes the people around you are not privy to a lot of that information. So
Yes.
ask details, talk
Yes.
about it because talking and communicating is healing
Yep.
all round.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And even, yet what you're saying just now is like having those conversations, getting that information, because otherwise the mind has sort of got nothing to process or nothing to hold on to. And
Yeah.
that leads, that's ignorance. That's ignorance. And that's an awful feeling as well. So yeah, they
And I
need.
think the worst thing someone can actually say to you is, I'm here if you need me, because if you're a proud person like I am, there's no way you're going to reach out and say, hey, I need help.
Mm, mhm,
Make a meal,
mhm. But has
offer to
that
dry,
changed?
offer,
Has that
uh,
changed for
it
you?
has changed. Yes,
Yes.
yes. I've learnt to say thank you.
Yes.
I've learnt to say thank you.
I
Yeah.
think we're the
And it's,
creators of our own world, right? And if we want to receive, then we can ask. We can
we
ask.
can. Yes.
Yeah.
And
We,
ask people for help. If you're
yeah.
lying there and you're in that situation, make them feel useful, or, because they're sort of looking for what they can do to
Some
help
sort of
you.
direction, some sort of
Yeah.
guidance. Yeah, yeah, because they don't know what to do. Yes, I agree. Wow. Wow.
Yes.
So that's 5 years ago, right? So
Mm.
how long ago did you write the book?
October, so not even 12 months ago.
October last year.
Yes.
It's
Yes, it
brand
was
new.
released.
It's
Yes,
brand
it's
new.
brand new.
Wow. Wow. What a journey that must have been.
It was, and I say that I had it in my head while I was recovering that I wanted to write the book.
Mhm.
And I think I'm glad I waited the time to write it, because I think it would have been a very different book. There was a lot of feelings and emotions and things that I hadn't dealt with myself, and also having come so far with changing so much of my life. If I had have written it 12 months out, it wouldn't have been the book that
Yeah.
I've written now. I've written it with love for everyone around me, for
Mhm.
everything, every part of it that I've um, everything that's gone into it has been written with love. So
Yeah.
it's very
From a
different.
very different perspective, right?
Yes, yes,
But not in it, but looking at it. Is
that's
that
exactly
weird?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I
Yes.
needed to be there to be able to. I feel I've written it as a tool for other people, to help other people, and I think it would have been a very different book had I have not done it in that way. So
You're doing it with that objectivity, looking back at it. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Wow. Where did you get your strength from?
Oh, I just think I always say to my daughter, we come from a very long line of very strong women. And that is the truth. My grandmother, went through the depression, grew up very poor, and still made a great life for herself,
Yep.
and was a great example of that, as is my mother. And I just think at times like these, you can't rely on anyone else. You're the only person that can get you through it. So if you don't rise, um, the alternative's not great.
Well, that's
So
an incredibly important thing to say, right? Because otherwise you can get caught up in the why me and, and
yeah,
why isn't everybody, it's kind of like a victim mode, isn't it? And
absolutely. Yeah,
I mean, I hate to kind of say it that way. I was a little reluctant, but it's like you can either play the victim in here and go,
yeah.
why is this happening to me? And life's throwing me a curveball. But what would that do to your recovery as opposed to I've just got to get this done and I've got to sort it out?
The way I look at that too is you can choose to become the illness and have it consume you
That's a
completely,
bloody good way of saying it.
or I say the way I say it is, it's the illness is something I had, it's not who I am.
Yep. Doesn't define you.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
great way to put it.
I'm still me, and
Yeah.
the was something that I had.
And
I didn't want to become the illness.
you would have seen others around you handling it differently in that other way.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And the other thing that you're not prepared for either, going through the treatment side of things, just when you said that, made me think there are people around me that I went through treatment with that didn't make it. In fact, I think I'm one of two
Right. Right,
that
right,
I
right.
went through. So there's a whole other element there of grief and loss as well,
Oh
because these
gosh,
people
yeah.
become your friends, your
Yes.
allies
Mhm.
within this awful world that you're thrown into.
Mhm.
And they're probably not people that you'd normally be friendly with or whatever, and they're
Yep.
from all walks of life. But each time you go in and have that session, they're there, and then slowly one by one, they're not there. And that's a whole nother side of the mental part of this that people have to deal with. And a lot of people don't think about that too, that
They
you're in
don't talk
hospital with
about
a
it
lot of
at
people.
all.
Yeah. I was in hospital with a lot of pancreatic cancer
Right.
patients, and we all know that's not a very nice form of
And
cancer. And,
you're
and
touching on something I think that is really important. In our society, we don't talk about death. In our
no,
society, we don't talk about dying.
yeah,
Um, you know, I worked in aged care and I remember the first time someone died, like it was confronting, it was mentally, emotionally, physically, just on all levels. But the interesting thing was, it's like then when the next one passed away and when the next one passed away, it's like your focus was, how do I present the body? How do I look after the body? How do I present it for when the families are coming in? How do I give it some dignity? And you start learning another way of looking at death and what death's all about. And it's like it's preparing you. It's
yes,
preparing you to be okay, right?
yes.
What about you? What was it doing for you? There's a blessing in everything. I mean, it's
Well, I guess at the time I didn't probably see it as a blessing. I
no.
was probably it probably increased my fear and anxiety
Mhm.
if nothing else, because was
Yep.
I going to be the next one, you
Yep.
know? Uh, and and also just trying to be positive and hopeful for everyone else. So I would do things like some of the patients that I was in hospital with, I would go in because I was physically a lot more capable than a lot of them too were bedridden. And, some of these women and men that I was having chemo with, we were doing exercise and that too, doing laps around the hospital because that was supposed to help, with your chemo and everything. So there was one gentleman next door, and him and I used to hang laps together with our IV poles. So I
Good.
and then there was a couple of other ladies, and in the afternoon, even if I didn't feel like it, sometimes I would take my cup of tea in and have my cup of tea with them in their room, or
Yep.
just to try and create a little bit more something
Positivity.
different. Yeah, and positivity in
Mhm.
in it all.
So
So,
do you think that I'm thinking now, it's like, is the system working for us? I mean, if you had a choice, and what I'm hearing is it'd be nicer if it was more of a private kind of thing you were going through, so you didn't have to see some of the other hardships and things that people were going through.
oh, but then that could be a really lonely process too. I think it's a double-edged
Mhm.
sword,
Yeah.
really. I think at the time you need people around you that are, experiencing similar things.
Hmm.
And which sort of brings me to some of the work that I'm doing now, post with other patients and
Yeah,
people.
please. I mean, I really,
And
yeah, talk about that.
I do some peer support work through Coloplast. I'm an ambassador for them. They are the bag company, the company that makes the bags and all of the implements that go with those, all the sprays and creams and all sorts of things that we use.
Right.
And I am regularly involved with patients one-to-one on the phone,
Hmm.
doing peer support with people who've just received an ostomy bag, or might be a few months in, they might be having a few problems, just to talk to someone.
So
But
tell
the
me, is that
number
someone
one,
that you wanted, right? Have you become what you wanted along the
no,
way?
no, I have unfortunately, the worst thing that happened in my life has become my purpose now and my life's work.
But what
And
I'm
and
saying
I'm and
is,
I'm loving every minute of it because I'm helping other people.
what I'm
And
saying is the ambassador, being the ambassador, is that what you wanted and it was missing?
yes, so I describe it as you go into hospital, and the doctors and everyone's wonderful and they're fantastic in hospital, and you have a nurse that's assigned to you when you have an ostomy bag, but
Hmm.
they're very, very busy with the patients in the hospital. Once you leave the hospital, it's
Yep.
like a mechanic. They fix the car and then they give it back to you,
Yep.
and you basically go in and you get fixed, and you come back out into that life that made you sick, maybe.
And what, there's no one
or,
else to
or
care?
and there's not a lot of there's huge mental impact,
Mm.
physical, dysmorphia because your body is not the same.
Yep.
You're fatigued. You've got after effects of things,
Yep.
um, diet, all of those things, and it's all supported in hospital. And you're given booklets and leaflets and all sorts of things on how to get help and all the rest of it. But it's up to you to drive that then. And you're not always capable of doing that
Yes.
afterwards.
Yeah.
So this is where my passion lies and where my
Yes.
work is starting to begin.
So
And
they've
I'm
got a
hoping,
road to walk, right? And they're left to their own devices on how they're going to walk it.
yes,
So you've come along and
yes.
going, I can guide you.
And we are never the same person coming out the other side as
No.
what we were going in. We're never going to be.
Yeah.
And that is really hard for family and friends to understand too. What I've been through, um, you know, some people have not come along on that journey, and that part of that was my choice, and part of that is other people's choice as well, because
Yeah.
I'm not the person I was afterwards.
Hmm.
And I can never be that person again because it's changed me forever. It's changed the
Yes.
way I look at things. Like I said, I've done work on my values,
I
all of
was
those
just about to
things.
say that it rearranges your values completely, doesn't it?
Yes, and your priorities and
Mm.
what living a good life looks like for you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Simple, 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 please.
yeah.
And less things, less stuff,
But I
right?
think the biggest thing is, what did you learn from the life that you were living before?
How did you slow down?
I did a lot of work, a lot of meditation,
Yeah.
and actually during my treatment recovery, I have studied and I've become a meditation teacher
Hmm.
and a holistic counselor as well.
Yep.
And not that professionally I've actually done much with that at the moment, but it's in the works. And it's only one part of recovery, but it's a very valuable part of recovery.
Well, you said
I,
in your little announcement for your book that life isn't linear, and that's exactly what you're talking about now. You've got a piece of what the future is, little pieces of what's going to line up, because it
yes.
doesn't happen in a linear fashion, does it?
And what works for me might not work for someone else, and
Yep.
that's why it's a multitude of things all put together, and you've got to choose from that what works for you.
Yes.
So I'm not one that actually preaches and says, "Oh, just because I changed my life and did this,
Mm.
that's going to work for you." No,
Yeah.
it depends.
You got to meet them where
Everybody's
they're at.
everybody's different. Yeah,
Meet somebody
yeah,
where they're at. Absolutely.
absolutely.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, like there's this compassion and this insight in you, which is just beautiful. And
Thank
that's what
you.
people need, don't they, walking along this path?
Yeah. So I'm now doing a fair bit of work with I'm on a consumer advocacy board for Wounds Australia because technically what I have is a permanent wound that I care for daily.
Right. Right.
And
Okay.
I am a Coloplast ambassador. So, leading by example of a good, getting back into life, living a good life. And I am also on the Bowel Cancer Outcomes Registry as a lived experience committee member as well.
Mhm.
And that gives information to colonic surgeons. So from a lived experience perspective, it's linked to the Colonic Surgeons Association.
So giving them some
Um,
feedback and looking at
CS,
more
yeah,
education.
yeah, CSANZ. So
Because as you say, like I worked in aged care, right? So I get people in aged care are going to start to see the retirement plus people that have, what happens then? You've got an open wound for the rest of your life that needs to
yes,
be seriously taken care of, right?
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's a bit like, I used to look at some of the blokes when I'd be giving them a shower and they'd had a tattoo when they used to be in the army or the navy really, and that tattoo, it didn't look anything like what they first got when all the wrinkles set in and the body changed, right?
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So
So
this is going to be ongoing as well, and
yeah,
some people may get to a point where they can no longer actually manage it themselves and need assistance to do so, and some people my age need assistance to do so too.
yeah. Again,
But
depending where they're at. Yes.
that's right. Yeah. But I guess my passion project and where the work really lies for me now, I believe, is in facilitating connection and involving advocacy and getting people together to actually, feel supported as
And
well
advocacy,
through
what
this.
you mean that like when people are going through this process themselves, that they've got someone standing by their side.
Yes, because the biggest thing I hear with, aside from, how it's affected their mental health, is not probably number one is the secondary is I don't know anyone else that has an ostomy bag.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
that
I'm
just
working
makes
on
it,
some projects at the moment to actually connect people and bring people together a bit more.
because
So
that
I'm going to
makes
be,
a terrible kind of alone forecast of
yes.
what they're stepping into. And I mean, they've just been through, like you're saying, Helen back, turned everything upside down and inside out, lost friends, lost family, lost money because you've got to keep a
Yeah.
job going. You've got to keep, for some people, they don't have the resources there in the background. And then they come out the other end and they've healed to the degree that they have, and then they've got this
Yes.
path with no one to walk with.
And there's also, oh, look, there's so many factors. I'd love to talk to that financial piece because, I was sitting in a six-figure plus job with a company car, two children in private school, a mortgage,
Yep.
and my whole world came crashing down. And 3 months later, at the allotted time frame after you're allowed to have 3 months sick leave, I
Yeah.
was actually made redundant.
Yes.
And
That's
all
the
all
thing
I
that
could do was
don't
go
help.
on Centrelink,
Mhm.
and I had $800 a week mortgage, and Centrelink would pay me $600 a fortnight.
And you had
Just
to
to give you an
navigate.
idea.
You
And I
had
had
to
to
navigate
navigate
that
this, yeah, without
bureaucracy.
pushing myself back to work.
Yeah.
So a lot of people probably push themselves back to work before they're
Yes.
ready for
Yes.
that reason as well. So
Mm.
fortunately, my doctor's very good, and
Mm.
yeah,
I did
but
watch with my sister when my nephew had cancer because she had a lot of downtime, the same as you. So she had resources there and she had a really good job and they were backing her and whatever. But what they did do is that they did a GoFundMe. They did a GoFundMe
okay,
and
yeah, which
set
is
that out,
fantastic.
which helped
Yeah.
enormously as well. I just wanted to say that out there for people that are in the
Yeah,
position listening.
fabulous.
Yeah, and if you don't feel brave enough to go and ask for money for yourself, get someone else to do it for you. It
Yeah.
can happen. Yeah, but the
But there's
financial,
so many things that you can do with your bills and things like that as well. And
right,
that's all of this information I have and I
right,
would love to share.
fabulous,
And
fabulous.
that's where all this is going for me as far as helping other people and lining that up hopefully with some workshops later in the year that people can
That's
attend.
fantastic because people aren't mentally in a space, are they, either, to start, negotiating about the bills and
That's
whatnot.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
many angles to this, so much that
There
we can
are,
go
there
through.
are.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, what are the blessings?
Oh, the blessings out of this are definitely the lifestyle that I live now. I just absolutely, I can honestly sit here today and say that I love my life. Just come back from, I'm doing things that I wildly would never have imagined being able to do. I've just come back from 9 weeks in Europe, traveling with an ostomy bag, and we're planning our next our next trip.
You're a
So I'm
pioneer.
really like pushing the envelope in other ways now, not physically and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
mentally, but showing people that you can really have a great life and still live well beyond all of this.
Hmm.
So that's my life is just amazing.
I love that because there's a kind of a motto that I have in my own life. I'll only share with people what I've personally experienced. And you're
Yes,
doing that, like, firstly, not by choice, but now you're making choices to see how far you can push the boundaries. Yeah, how far
that's
you
right.
can push the limit
Yeah,
for
yeah,
others as well. So you can go,
yeah,
because I call myself the crash test dummy. I think you
yeah.
are, right?
Well, I am too. And I don't sit here and say, oh, hey, everything's perfect and
No.
wonderful and rosy and all the rest of it. In
Mm.
fact, this week I've battled through a sinus infection. My immune system is not what it was.
All right.
I still have setbacks, things like that. I'm still managing my diabetes on a regular basis.
Yep.
I get tired. I have to pull back on some of this work that I'm trying to do to help other people as well and be careful and
Yep.
live within my boundaries. And
Mhm.
sometimes that's really hard for me because
Because the old behavior, the
yes, the
old
old
behavior
behaviors
comes
creep
out.
back in.
Yeah, and
So,
it says, I want to
I'm
do
not
everything.
perfect. I am far from perfect. So, and a lot of the time when we talk like this, people think, oh, she's so great and she does all these things and, everything's great now for her. Well, you know what? Behind closed doors, it's not always. So,
Yes.
you still get those life things that creep in and those, yeah, little setbacks. But you know what? Like a sinus infection, it could be worse.
Mhm. Yep. You deal with it, you
Yeah.
handle it. Yeah.
You rest, you do
Yeah.
that sort of
So
thing.
you're
So
taking notice of your body. And I mean, the only way the body can talk to us is through symptoms, is through pain and aches and things like that. So now you're paying attention
that's right.
and
Yeah.
taking care of it.
Yes.
Mm?
So
That's all
please
it
pay
wants.
attention.
It just wants some love. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
What a journey. What an
Thank you.
amazing
Yeah. Well,
journey.
it wasn't one I expected. It was an unexpected journey, but it's all worked out.
Well, I have to
And
say that, I have to thank you so much for being so brave, for being so courageous, because I know that just saying out loud the things that you've said here on the show with us today, it's not easy. You make it look easy, right? But there's wounds in there. There's trauma in there that you're slowly starting to share. And as you share, do you heal?
yes, absolutely. There's been a lot of healing in doing this work and writing the book, and it was challenging to actually revisit some of those times when I was writing the book. It was very difficult, but I knew I had to do it because I knew it was going to help other people by
Yeah.
putting that out there and being brave enough to actually, tell it how it is. And, there's some funny stories in there about that bag.
Uh-huh.
When I first got that bag and,
Uh-huh.
it explodes sometimes in the worst possible places. And,
Oh.
there's all sorts of things like that go on and I've laid it bare. So it's, yeah,
Uh-huh.
it needed to be, put out there and yeah,
Because it's like helping people to walk in your shoes. It's
that's right.
helping people to understand that you don't ever know what's going on for somebody else. Because even though on the front of your book you've got the bag on the outside, you don't walk around like that, right?
No, I
So
don't.
we don't know what's going on the inside of everyone that we meet.
That's right. Yeah. And a lot of people live with hidden disabilities, and it is classified as a hidden disability.
Mhm.
So when I travel, I do wear the hidden disabilities lanyard as well, which
Hidden
is an
sunflowers.
amazing, yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes.
I know about them because I tested it out myself. I wanted to see how the rest of the world, like how the airports and different travel stops and stuff, have been educated. And they've been educated to quietly just pay attention to it. They just pay attention to it, which is really wonderful. Do
I'll
you know?
let you in on a little secret. I'm actually going to be on their podcast.
Are you?
Yes.
Good, good. You really are getting the message out there, aren't you?
Yes.
This is wonderful. And this is what we're doing here today as well, so that everybody out there can start feeling like you've got some insight, that if they read your book, they're going to get a ton of insight and some funny
Yes.
stories, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't have to have been through it, and you don't have to know someone with a bag or have a bag to read it and find it, funny or just a reality check.
Yeah.
Everyone could probably do with just having a little think about maybe one or two things they can change in their life to live healthier. And that's really the overall message. It's not
Yeah.
so much cancer and bowel cancer related, it's more illness and prevention.
Yeah. So in this day and age where cancer is so prevalent that every second person is dealing with something on some level, it will give people insight, firstly, into the journey and what it's all about. And then they'll be able to relate in a different way with others around them.
That's right. Yes.
And then the health aspects, like you say, the shift and the
Yeah.
change that you've made.
Yeah.
So, meditation and your inner world.
And just focusing on what you can do. You know, a lot of people are going through illness and don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. It's about what you can do. If you got up this morning and you had a shower, you're doing well. You know, small wins.
How did you get to the point of simplifying your life? Even
Necessity.
the mind, though, the mind is a very, very powerful thing.
Oh, it is. The mind
Right?
is a
Call it
very
mind,
powerful.
ego, whatever. It's a very powerful thing because it's been one of my goals throughout my life to find out what the hell that thing is and how to manage it, right? So you got mind, you got subconscious as well. So sitting in the background, did you start to get a lot of different thinking going on in your head?
I did, and I think spending time alone and just mapping out and working out, you know, what is important to you,
Mhm.
what things do you want to achieve, um,
How did you overcome
and
doubt?
the doubt.
Yeah.
Um,
That
I just,
constant voice that says, be careful, this is going to go wrong, that's going to happen.
I did a lot of affirmation work, and I did a lot of manifesting
Yep.
about the type of lifestyle that I wanted to live.
Okay.
I actually did a vision board.
Yep.
And I look back at that vision board now, and I actually there's probably 80% of what's on it has actually come to
It's turned up.
fruition.
It's turned
Yeah, in the last two
up.
years. And it's about really believing that you are healthy and living healthy,
Yep.
and you know, really believing that you can achieve, and putting that out there, because I truly believe whatever you put out, you get back. It
Without a
really
doubt.
is. Yeah. And if you can achieve that mindset, and you can actually do all that on repeat daily and do the inner work. And
Mhm.
I did a lot of that inner work, the manifesting and the meditation, and just really sitting with myself and saying, all right, well, that made me feel like this, you know, that's okay. It's an emotion. I'm allowed to feel like that,
Yes.
but don't hold it, carry it, and turn it into something that it's not.
Yeah.
Also, learning to deal with your internal dialogue is, we have this inner voice, and
That's the one
it
I'm talking about.
tells us lies,
Absolutely. That
absolute
Yep.
lies.
It's just a critic. It's an
It
absolute
is,
critic of
yeah.
everything. Yes.
And it's so, you know, and like I said, I'm not perfect. You know, sometimes I listen to it and I think, oh, do I really look like that? Or do I, you know, oh, hang on a minute, Nicole, you're listening to your internal dialogue here.
Hmm.
Oh, hang on. No, 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 it's not true.
Yep.
I know what I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. And
So
it's
refocus on that vision board, refocus on the goals that you have, the beautiful goals. Yeah.
yeah, just keep bringing it back to that,
Yep.
where you're heading and what you're wanting to do.
And people
So
don't wait until some crisis hits you in order to start doing that, right?
that's right. Yeah, it's about living a little bit of that every single day. And I do fall off the wagon every now and again, and I go, "Oh, I haven't meditated for a few days,"
Yep.
and I think, "Oh, that's why my mind's spinning out of control. I need to get
Right.
back to my work," you know.
Right. Yes.
And it's funny because my partner, he's always been a bit of a thinks it's all very woo woo and you know all the rest of it,
Yep.
but he'll actually tell me now when I'm out of whack.
Oh, good.
And he knows that I need to go and do some of that work, you
So
know,
isn't
and
that
he'll,
interesting? Because when you
yeah,
change yourself, your behavior actually does impact others. It
it
does
does.
impact others.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I
It,
know he does believe in you know quite a few of those things, but he's yeah, all in all, he said he says to me, "Oh, you need to go and get your little bowl and bong your bowl," and you know,
uh-huh. Yes. Yes. I hear you.
yeah,
Absolutely. Like when I was going through that myself, when I was learning meditation and whatnot, my kids would say, for anything that was broken or needed fixing, oh, mum, are you going to put lavender on that?
yeah, I know,
Same thing, same thing. Oh my gosh, love,
yeah.
our hour's up. Like it's gone
Oh,
so
okay.
fast. If let's thank you, as I said, for being so brave, for being so outspoken, and for really just allowing us into that world of yours because it's just incredible what you've achieved and the path you've set for yourself as well. I really look forward to where you're headed. as well.
Thank you. Yes, it's exciting. There's a lot in the planning at the moment,
Yep.
and yeah, keep watching this space,
Good.
and hopefully I can help more people going forward. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be on your show. Thank you so much,
And
Helen.
what would you say to somebody out there who's listening about their health?
It's what you can do.
Fabulous. That's a beautiful way to end it. And for everybody out there as well, in the show notes, I will put Nicole's website so that you can access her book and her story as well. Nicole, thank you so much for being on here today.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, Helen.
Okay.